Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's August 4th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And really, this was just a range day. You can see we spent most of the day inside the overnight highs and lows. We broke out here right before 3 o'clock, but for the most part, I'd call this a range day. Really, from till 2 o'clock, really till just before 3, we're trading inside the overnight highs and lows. And so really the only way you can trade this is just to find the short-term trends and trade them. It's really hard to know what prices, especially right in here. It looks like prices are going to reverse. We end up getting two legs down. There's one move here, and then a little two-legged move, and then another move. And this is much more than a measured move. So it was really hard to kind of figure out. You can see this trend real clearly. You get the break, two legs up, and then a little bit move to a new low, and then we reversed again. Going up, all of this price action worked out perfect. I mean, this is perfect price action. Here's your two-tiered channel working down. You get the break, move to a new low, we reversed. You got the two-tiered channel working up, you get the break, move to a new high, then we reversed. You get the trend working down, you get the break, move to a new low, we reversed. And we're working up here, you get a close outside, move to a new high, and that really took us into the close there. So we will just have to see. I mean, really, we're into the next day, so it doesn't matter there anymore. And this is well after 2 o'clock, so that really doesn't matter anyway. But this was perfect price action as far as the channels worked out. There's a range here. When we dropped out of that, you might look for a measured move. Oops. Just measure that part and then move it down. And you can see we bounced there, but then we pushed a little further, and then we end up making another attempt at another leg down, and then we reversed. So, but pretty much all these channels worked out perfect price action. So you can't argue with it. A lot of you were trying to find channels in here of some other type, but this is just a range day. Anytime prices are trading within the overnight highs and lows, especially late in the day towards lunchtime, it's probably a range day. So just make sure you understand that. And we're not just talking about this range right here. The whole thing is a range day. So keep that in mind. But this is my NT8 chart. I was able to find some answers to most of my issues. A lot of it was just user issues. A couple of them were, it was some issue with the indicator that was causing issues or causing problems or whatever. But for the most part, I've worked them out. For the most part, this chart now looks like pretty much like my NT7 chart. So I'm gonna try to move forward. I know for the most part everybody was happy to see me use NT8 because I think most of you are. There were a few that came back and says please go back to NT7, and at the time I probably saw your email yesterday, I was thinking the same thing. But I'm gonna push forward here and try to make the switch because I think most of it's just a learning curve. This work NT8's a little bit different. For the most part, it's the same software, but you do things a little bit different, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. And me, I'm definitely a creature of habit, and I hate change, especially when it's when whatever you're using is not really broke. And to me, NT7 is not broke. But just talking to some people that would know, you're using, there's reasons to go to this because it's a 64-bit software designed to run on a 64-bit computer, which I just spent a lot of money on. So it does make sense to try to use this, and so that's what I'm going to try to do at this point. At this point, I'm going to try to stick to NT8. If at some point it does cause a problem in my trading, I may switch back, or at least I may trade my NT7 chart and then use this for the chart lesson just so everybody's on the same page. But that could be a little sticky too, just because I may see something different on the NT7 chart than I see on this one, and so I like to watch one chart all day, and so I have a feel, usually by the end of the day I've watched this chart print most of the day. Now I'm not looking at it especially once I'm done trading. I may only glance at it from time to time, but generally up until 10:30, 11, maybe even to noon, I'm watching the chart pretty closely. Even if I'm done trading, I still tend to watch the chart pretty closely. But I'll start reading emails and things like that once I'm done trading. So I don't watch it as closely. So, but I prefer to just have one chart and to watch the one chart and to go with that flow. So, so at this point, I'm planning to stick to NT8 here. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna play it by ear, but at this point, I'm planning to continue forward because most of the bugs we have worked out. There still are a couple of these indicators that aren't working. They're actually close, but they're not quite right yet. This is the price line. I can't keep the color changed on it. It keeps wanting to change to orange. So I got somebody looking at that for me that maybe he can figure it out. I do have the pat risk here. And it's very similar to the other one. Several of you showed me a box like this that it looks very similar, but this one shows a few different things that the box that comes with. I can't remember what the name of the one was that came with it. I think it's Range or something like that. You can see the pat wrist there, but there's the Range. It's similar, but it doesn't show. Really, the main reason I like this is because I can click on this and you can see that range value. It says 6. That tells you there's 6 ticks in that bar. Or actually 7 ticks in that one. It must be the one next to it that has 6 ticks. Yes. So you can just click on it real quickly and see how many ticks are in each bar. And that's really what I use that for. Just to see, like if I want to know what kind of stop it would take. Just click on that. There's 8 ticks there. So I know I'm going to have it's basically going to be 10 ticks of risk there because my buy stop's 1 tick above it and my safety stop's 1 tick below it and it's an 8 tick bar. So that's 10 ticks that I'm risking. So that's really the only reason I use that. So this one works a little different than that range box. I couldn't get it to show the right ticks or whatever. I'm assuming it doesn't show that. And I don't care about all that other stuff in there. Sometimes it is nice to click on it and see real quickly the open, high, and low or the close. So I do look at that sometimes too. And it does show you the volume in the bar, I guess, as well there. 4,000 something in that volume, 3,000 in that one. So that's kind of interesting too. That might be something you might be interested in at some point. But really, I just want to see the opening, close, and high and low sometimes, and mostly I want to see how many ticks are in that bar, so that's what I use that for. But anyway, there it is. It seems to be working properly. I seem to have most of the kinks worked out. There's still a couple of these indicators I'm not happy with yet that I would like to make a few minor changes to. Taylor that wrote this, the indicator here, this one works fine. I would like to be able to see us be able to move that over just a tad and to darken that maybe even a little bit, but it works fine. I'm happy with it. I don't see there's no issues with it. If you want to get what I've learned, you can't really move it over until you back out further. So sometimes you got to back out a little bit and then you see it moves over. So, but right there, if I want to narrow in, then you can't really see all the bar. And so that's the only issue I see with that. Maybe Taylor will fix that if he's listening. I'll probably send him an email as well. And somebody else is going to send me another one of these that they wrote. So we'll have an option too. We'll see what it looks like. But I would like to be able to maybe darken that and to be able to move it over. I've changed the colors on it, but they won't stay. They change back. They won't hold. So I don't know what. I had a couple of other ones that do that too, so it's something that needs to be added to the indicator, I think. But it won't hold the colors. I don't like the yellow color because I can't see it very well. So I won't mind a switch from black straight to red. Around 300 ticks. So I had changed it to that, but it keeps going back. So anyway, let's get on with the chart lesson. It's 10 minutes worth, and we got a few trades to talk about here today. But you can see the trends. They're very clear. All of them were perfect price action. Somebody sent me their chart this morning and they saw this one a little different, but I think they drew theirs more like that. And you can see it's not holding price action over here, and his look just like that. I mean, if you get an overshoot that many times, you're either going to have another level up here or you're going to get a break pretty quickly, and that didn't happen. So I still think I had it right here. It's like that. And then you get the break here, move to a new high, and it reverses. You get 2 legs down. It took a little bit. We ran out of steam here. There was still some buying going on, but they couldn't get it. Couldn't push it any higher once we made that new high. Then we got the 2 legs down. You can see that channel coming down, a break, and there's 2 legs in that break, and then a move down. We're moving up. There's a break there. And it looks like we moved to a new high. I don't know what it's going to do, but we're in another day, so it doesn't matter. So let's back out. We'll talk about the trades. And there's one trade I want to talk about down here because several different people got burned right here. But most of you had your trend wrong. Generally, your trend is going to be off the first 2 swings. So that's what we're looking at here. I had somebody draw it like this. And so, yeah, if you do that, you're going to probably want to go short right there, and you're going to get burned. But notice if you drag, see, there's something else. It took me a minute to figure that out. But if you drag this over, it doesn't fit anywhere over here. It tells you it's probably not right. It should fit on both sides. And then somebody else had theirs drawn from up here. Like, well, even if you drew it like that, you still get the break in U low. But somebody else had maybe drawn it. I guess even if you draw it from up there like that, you still would probably, actually that should be more like that. And then you see you get a little break there. So that might warn you away from that one. But if you draw it properly off the first 2 swings, you can clearly see this channel working lower. You get a break here, we kind of go sideways, and then you move to a new low and it reverses. So having seen that break in a new low, this is still a pretty decent setup here. It breaks higher and turns down. It's a nice short. But I'm going to tell you, when you saw this bar end right here and then another one going sideways with that trend line holding, I would exit that trade. Generally, I tell people don't exit early, and if you're sim trading, probably don't, so you can learn from it. But this should have dropped on down. If that was a true, really good second entry, it should have dropped on down. You wouldn't get 2 bars going sideways there. So that's a clue that something's going on here. And I don't think you want to go long there yet because everything's still under the EMA, as you can see. So you don't really want to go long, and that's a shame because you really do get a good setup here. And there's another little pullback right here, but that's congestion too far away from the EMA. And it works that time, but next time you try that, it'll turn up a tick or 2 and turn down and stop you out. So don't try that little tricky thing. You had to be patient this morning because you don't really get a trade. 7 o'clock came right in here as we're making this bottom. So you don't get a trade till almost 9 o'clock. And then even it's green because if you had a good signal bar here, by all means go long. It's a higher low. It's off the key entry point. That's a clear, obvious trend line right there. That's as easy a trend line as you can find. You already got 3 swings there to confirm it. And when you drag your copy up, it fits at the top. It comes up short here too, and that gives you a clue that this is going to probably break right here. So that's another thing about this. If you draw your trend line, and look at that midline, how it's holding. Prices are reacting off of it both sides. There's plenty of feedback to know that's correct right there. And you move up. But yeah, that signal bar is just too weak. By the time this one ends, you got 3 bars stacked up and one of them doesn't have a body. That's congestion. You still might go long there with it being right off that key entry point and a higher low, but you'd really want a better signal bar than that. Runs up and we just start working sideways, and there's a double test here, but again, not a very good signal bar. And this is congestion again, but you get a little breakout that pulls back and you get a higher low right here with a nice signal bar. And That's the one you can ride on up. That's the first decent trade of the morning, really. Then we turn down here. This is a double top, so I would only count this as a new high right here. So you're working down, and you don't get a break till here. So, but if you count that as a first entry right there, which some of you did, a lot of you took the second entry right here, and you're just too early. You got the right idea. You're still looking for a long here, but you're too early. So notice you get the break, the new low. Again, that's perfect price action, and it reverses. And you might go long here with that break and new low, but I'd wait on a higher low, which comes here, pushes through the EMA, pulls back. That's not a perfect reversal, but we're not really looking for a reversal. This is just a continuation of the trend. You get your break, and you're going to push to a new high now. So I like going long above that. That's a nice trade right there. Both of these were nice trades that probably got you an easy runner. So, and also if you, I didn't show these measured moves here. I guess that's an arrow. There's leg 1, leg 2, and you actually pushed up again, but you really have pretty much 2 measured legs right here. This one came up a tad short, but that's telling you to watch out down here on the break. And then we just started going sideways. And sometimes that's all the correction you'll get because the market there's still some buying coming in. But notice you got your break, your new high, you test it once, you test it twice, then you make a lower high there, and that's a second entry short, which you're really not looking for those, but if you get a setup that's a second entry short, pay attention to it. Moves down, try to go higher once, then you get the second entry long right there. Again, this is a double top, so that's just count 0, first entry, second entry, and it comes back and tests it again, gives you another bullish bar. I like going long. It's tempting to go short here, but with this being an upward bias, there's a chance we could push higher. And so wait on a lower high, which comes here. And if you catch that one, you might be able to ride this all the way down. And just look for that measured leg, and I'd probably exit right in here. And that would have got you out pretty close to the low. And of course, draw your trend line right there. Then you work back, first entry, and the second entry short right there. It actually, I believe there's a little break lower right here, but that's all still, and it does correct there, but that's all still part of one move. So I'd still treat that like a second entry short. Quick, easy move. There's a higher low right here, but it doesn't break higher. So that's just an inside bar. Just ignore that. I wouldn't take that trade. And then we get the break, which leads to 2 legs. It's tempting to go long down here, but this trend line's still in play. So you probably won't want to take any longs at this point unless you get some kind of, but notice this moving up. You get a break with 2 legs back to the EMA and the second entry long right there. Okay, I've been sitting here talking for another 10 minutes, and somehow I had it on pause. I paused it, I don't know what the heck's going on. My mind's frazzled, but I was showing you yesterday this one that I missed, so I'm not sure if I'm redundant here. You could just skip past this. But I had this a little steeper than this yesterday. I think I had it more like this. And but I was really off yesterday. I was so flustered with all this NT8 stuff and mad at myself and mad at this software and kicking myself for even thinking about changing. And I missed this. You won't see me miss one this easy very often because that's pretty simple. Somehow I missed it, but I wasn't paying much attention to the chart after about 9:30, to be honest. There were a couple of early trades here that were quick and easy, and by 9:30 all I was doing was concentrating on trying to figure this silly software out and get all these bugs worked out. So I missed this, but somebody sent me this. He was correct, and that's pretty easy to find. How I missed it, I don't know. But anyway, you won't see me miss them very often, but you know, I'm human. Sometimes I miss them too. So, um, but I think I have all the kinks worked out of this thing. Yesterday I was about to decide that I was going back to NT7 forever and would never look at this again. But I'm feeling a lot better about it today. So, and even though this was a range day, and a lot of you probably struggle because I know I got some emails, it's really perfect price action. Channel down, break new low. Channel up, break new high. Channel down, break new low. Channel up, and that just kept going. We did get a break, but and you can see we've been correcting ever since. We made a new high, we've been correcting. So even late in the afternoon, you still got the same thing. So there is a little bit of sideways here, and when you broke lower, you may measure that and look for. You can see we went a little further, but this channel pretty much took over here. But you got your break with a two-legged correction, and notice even this one, you're moving up, break, new high. Right here, you're moving down, break, new low. You're moving up, break, new high. It was consistent, perfect price action really all day, even on the really small. And that's what you got to do. People, some of you will send me your chart, and you won't have the first trend line on here, and you'll wonder, you know, like why it reversed here, because you just saw a second entry short. So you say, oh, there's a great second, and this looks like a great second entry short. But if you look at the context, we've had a break and a new low in place. So any continued movement to the low side is suspect. And that's a huge bar right there. It says 9 ticks. Make sure I'm on the right one. I bet I'm not. Yeah, 13 ticks. So that's a pretty big bar to be. And it looks like it. I'm pretty sure this broke higher and turned down. So, but even looking like that, you know, if it's a good downtrend. So if you didn't get your channel right here, you probably took this thinking it was a sure thing, and you just got, it's just a short trap is what it is. This one's played out, and they trap you to the short side. And you had some clues here with a chance to get out. These two bars not going any lower shows equilibrium right there. And you shouldn't see equilibrium on the trigger of a nice second entry in a downtrend. If you do, something's wrong. Get out of that trade. You know, this thing should have taken off down, and it didn't. And when it breaks higher right here, that's going to be a failure that's probably going to rocket up. And you can see how it rockets up real quick. That's all the trap traders and the shorts having to exit now. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this thing up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. And hopefully by tomorrow I'll have. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with NT8 now. So we'll see. Hopefully there's a couple more little bugs that I got some people trying to help me work out with some of the indicators, and hopefully we can get those worked out too. And but I appreciate all the help. Literally, I bet I had 25 or 30 emails of people just giving me tips on some of these things, like not being able to get the arrows in the right place. I had the snapback checked, and so it was snapping back, and you know, and I knew that was there from NT7, but for some reason it just didn't. I think I was just really flustered. I mean, if you could have, it probably didn't come across. It may or may not have come across that way in the video, but if it didn't, I was ready to throw this NT8 out the window for good, forever yesterday about this time. But today I'm feeling 100% better about it. So I assumed it probably was just a learning curve and some user error, and that's what most of it was. Some of it is by indicators. There's some, I guess this one's a little bit more sensitive to your indicators. There's some things if you don't get right, it doesn't seem to work just right. A couple of these I changed the colors and save them but no matter how many times I save them, this right here, which is the opening price, the 8:30 a.m. open. Somebody else sent me a workaround for that. I hadn't had time to try it yet, but I'm gonna try that. And he says it works perfect. So, but actually I sent this indicator to Jeff, who is obviously a programmer or something, but he's fixed a couple of them for me. And he may fix this one. If he does, I'll just use it. But if he doesn't, I'll look at the other one. It could be something else, but there's a few of them I cannot change the colors on and get them to stay default. They just switch right back. and this is one of them. I'll save this as default, and then change another indicator. When I change the other indicator, this one changes back to its orange, and I can't stand that orange there. I like it just to be light yellow, just so you can see it without it really popping out at you. I don't want this line popping out, and I don't want this close from yesterday. I want to know where it's at, but I don't want it popping out and being the brightest thing on my chart. So that bugs me. At least it does me. It may not bother the rest of you, but it does me. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.